Every game has its influences, but SolSeraph might as well have the subtitle Tribute to Actraiser. Everything from the God-saving humanity story to the hybrid action and city-building gameplay mirrors the 1990 Super Nintendo gem, just not quite as successfully. SolSeraph's side-scrolling parts are a nostalgic fever dream, replicating the weighty, methodical feel of Actraiser and other action games from its era, but its level design can be hit and miss. The city-building sections have nice modern touches, but they're ultimately too simplistic, lacking any real depth or strategy. SolSeraph is at least partially saved by the fact that these dueling genres don't overstay their welcome, but they never manage to live up to their inspiration either. During the side-scrolling sections, you take direct control of a god named Helios, and the combat has an early 90s feel to it thanks to his charmingly clunky moveset. In hectic moments and boss fights, you have to use both Helios' sword and ranged attacks, along with a shield and dodge to avoid death, which can be super rewarding when done right. SolSeraph's best levels offer a nice challenge that comes from both the number of enemies thrown at you at once and their placement. For better and worse, success is partially tied to memorization of both the level layout and enemy attack patterns. But levels are often imbalanced. Some of the main levels last upwards of 10 minutes, while others can be completed in just 2 or 3. It's jarring to feel like a level is not even halfway done, only to stumble into the boss fight. In the lengthier levels, caution and defense is required. Health and mana pickups are scarce, and going into a boss fight with not much left can make things pretty tough. But in the shorter ones, your approach is far less impactful. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the 4 to 5 lair levels that must be cleared before you can enter a boss lair. Most of them are set up as simple, small arenas that can be beaten with sheer brute force. They are unimaginative filler that eliminates any sense of danger. In between the action stages are SolSeraph's top-down city-building sections, which unlock the majority of the side-scrolling levels as you expand. These parts use simplistic, intuitive controls that work well on a gamepad, but unfortunately, this simplicity creeps too far into the gameplay itself, too. Each build starts at a fire pit and moves outward. First, you add houses to bring in new villagers. Then you build farms to tend to your crops and lumber mills for building supplies. It's enjoyable enough, just not very deep. Enemies funnel into your town from several lairs scattered throughout the map. To its detriment, they can only travel along narrow, pre-constructed roads that lead to the center of town. This entirely eliminates the element of surprise. Barracks and archer towers are the first and main form of defense, but it doesn't really matter where you build because you'll always know where the enemy is coming from. And defensive structures that are unlocked later on, such as forges that increase attack power and magic towers that strike a whole area, feel superfluous. Even if enemies do somehow get by your defenses and near your fire pit, you can use Helios' power to strike them with lightning or spawn a Sun Guardian to clean up the mess. As you build outward to unlock lairs to enter as Helios, the spacious maps start to feel quite empty. There's a finite number of trees in each region, making it impossible to fill out the map. Nor is it necessary to build defensive structures anywhere but near town. To its credit, each region has its own quirks that keep building from becoming completely monotonous. The snowy Vale of Yag doesn't have fertile land, so you have to create livestock pens instead. Crops in the Sek Desert need to either be constantly watered, or you need to place wells for irrigation. These are cool thematic twists, but they don't provide a ton of depth overall. There's no right way to defend your city, but there's really no wrong way to do it either. The absence of any real strategy makes your choices feel inconsequential. It's also important to note that the PS4 version of SolSeraph we played had a bug that can delete your save file entirely while building in one particular area. You can keep playing as long as you don't exit to the main menu or turn SolSeraph off, but if you do, your file will be gone. It happened twice during the course of this review, and was very frustrating to say the least. Developer Ace Team is aware of it, but tread with caution until it's fixed. SolSeraph is a faithful homage to Actraiser, one of the Super Nintendo's best games, but it doesn't shine quite as brightly as the classic it pays tribute to. The side-scrolling admirably recreates the feeling of playing a 16-bit action game, but the levels themselves are a mixed bag. Some have real stakes, others feel strangely abbreviated. And the city building, while intuitive and fun, throws strategy out the window entirely. As a result, SolSeraph is shallow but fun nostalgia snack food. For more retro throwbacks, check out our reviews of Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. And for everything else, keep it right here at IGN.